Hey, good people. Welcome to Miss LeAnnya's Third Eye 13. Miss LeAnn's my also known as SAG aftername. Yah's my Thursday born Akan day name. So LeAnnyaa is my adopted name, living in Ghana, West Africa. And this is where you'll get my third eye view on any number of things in or about 13 minutes. 13 being my favorite number. So again, welcome in. Okay, so this is going to be another one of those special 13th of the month segments. But this one is intentionally posted after the 13th. So as not to be critical on Founders Day. And I'll just start with my apologies to any of my sorors who find offense with my views, but I'll clarify that this is my sincere prayer for my dear old Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, founded January 13th, 1913, on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C., on the principles of sisterhood, scholarship, and service, and incorporated in 1930, which I'd argue could be marked as the beginning of the shift, albeit taking another 6 or 7 decades to really show itself. So anyway, this all became clear to me when I lived in Ghana. And at first, I took issue with the millennial sorors, those at that age thinking they know so much more than they really do, typical for early to mid 30s. Then I thought it was those sorors who joined in the new millennium, but that was all before I realized that even bigger than that, my issue is actually with the sorority. So basically, I've said quite a bit in recent years that I was made into a sisterhood of college-educated women committed to public service on a legacy of social action with participation in the women's suffragette movement being a critical founding action. But now, in my estimation, the organization is a membership-driven public service corporation that in 2021 added social action as a foundational principle. But my biggest fault in all of it is that, quote, new sorors, those as best I can figure joining in the new millennium, rarely, if ever, mention the sisterhood, as if they don't know or weren't taught that it's not only a founding principle, but the leading founding principle. And I say the year 2000 is the best I figure because I was made in the 90s and I ended up leaving active membership mostly because of a challenge that I had with a neophyte at the time. She and her line joined in the year 2000. And with the insight that I gained from my experience in Ghana, looking back on it, I just thought that she, or they actually, were really ignorant to protocols. But in all fairness to her and them, another soror may have thought, looking in to the situation, that I was equally out of order. So fast forwarding more than 15 years from that time to when I moved to Ghana, since I knew that there were a good number of sorors living there, thinking that there was an active chapter, I thought it would be a great time and circumstance to reactivate my membership, but there actually was not a chapter at the time in 2019. So my big sis, an ODG, an original Divine Ghanaian, meaning one of the first members of the Divine Nine to move to Ghana. And so she and a handful of others and we got together and tried to petition the Grand Chapter to allow a charter in Ghana. But it was clear later that, unbeknownst to us, some things were shaking behind the scenes at the same time. And it started with the Arabian Gulf Alumni Chapter, which was chartered in the Middle East in October 2020 as the first ever multinational chapter. Then 6 months later, in April of 2021, the Southern Africa Alumni Chapter, with twice as many countries, was chartered. And then a week after that, the West Africa Alumni Chapter, covering 3 times as many countries, the entire ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States region. And so some asked if I was still in Ghana then and if I was on that charter. And my answer is yes, but no. And no thank you. And so why? Well, through enough interactions, the veil had been lifted by then, and then chartering a chapter expecting to have any real influence throughout a 15-nation service area. It just goes to my point before about the difference in the nature of the organization as I see it. So again, I say no thank you. And so now let's be clear, although I'll probably not be active again, the only thing that's more unlikely is that I'd renounce my membership. And it's funny, I started saying when I lived in Ghana that Delta and America are in the same boat for me at this point. They're both too much a part of who I am, so I don't see ever officially disassociating, but I'm good on both. And there is no need to wonder how long I've been back now, because trust, I know better than anybody that part. Okay. So anyway, yesterday, my sister was wearing the very nice vintage sweater I gave her for her birthday in November. She wore it in honor of Founders Day. And when I gave it to her, I told her that of the 2 I bought, she got the one that would more likely be worn in chapter meeting or an official setting. Well, not a ceremony, but an official setting, not in a social setting. Whereas mine, also very nice, is really understated. But anyone who knows would know because it's in official crimson with just a cream delta near where I'd wear my pin. And so she asked why I would buy more letters if I don't plan to wear them anymore. And immediately I responded, because I earned the right to wear them. And so that just takes me to my line sisters. And I thank God that we all agreed to a traditional process, because now, just a few months from 30 years in, it made for the kind of bond that has ultimately proven unbreakable. Then my besties, one who was at my penning 2 years into her journey, and then the other one 1.5 years into my journey, and all of my other ATL, LA, and Ghana lifelongs, my countless aunties, my aunt, my sister, and my mother, okay, made of her legacy, to any of them who have talked about those sorors who have been on social media sharing their experiences and their feelings now for whatever reason. I only have a problem with those who overshare, who say things maybe just, not thinking that are meant for Delta ears only. But I have told quite a few of my personal connections, that if I ever pulled my content together again, I could almost promise that I would share my perspective. And such is the case in this segment. But since I don't consider anything I said a denouncement or a violation of our sacred trust, I will just repeat what I said in the beginning. This is my earnest prayer that the original legacy of sisterhood, scholarship, service, and social action will be restored, and the women, my sorors of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, will be the dynamic torchbearers of those principles for another 111 years and beyond. And I release it now to the source to be done. And so it is. Amen and Ashe. So with that, I'll just add this brief reminder that my biggest Third Eye 13 aspiration is to host my beloved Thriving 13th babies. And you have to check me out again to understand what that means. And my biggest professional aspiration is to join Team Cube Vision. Yay, yay. So that's it for now. And with that, I sincerely appreciate that you took the time to hear me out. And I affirm that, be it by divine appointment, you'll hear me the next time as well. And since I already released my prayer to the source to be done, instead of just typing it, I'll close with Namasté, which means the light within me honors the light within you. So be good, take good care, and Namasté, good people.